Hey, welcome everybody out there. We back on post giving you a dose of what you love the most. That weekly scope on knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the good, the bad, and the ugly of our people, healing it with freedom music. Freedom music happens 7:30 to 8 p.m. on these airwaves. You can tune in. You can get the call letters right here. And you can jump backstage with us and you can rock out to all that soulful hip hop, R&B, house bass, jazz, rumba, samba, soca, all of it to put a battery in your back and make sure you are going in the right direction progressively. You know what I'm saying? We are the real HD. Check it out. And make sure as you are watching the show, make sure you like, sharing, and subscribing. Turning on your notifications so that every time we have a real HD show, you too can tap in, turn on your notifications, and have a higher discussion with us. I'm your host, Vic. It is glad to see you. It's a moon day. Sponsorships by Total Package Energy. Powders, gels, teas, zips, waters, juices, everything you might need for speed. Because some of us have a second half to our day. Second job, dealing with kids, family, all of it. Total Package Energy, all natural product, melanated company. Go to totalpackagenergy.com, mob their website. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. And remember to support the Real HD Show by giving to $ the Real HD Show, $ the Real HD Show, capital TRHD Show. And you can make sure all this great information, all this great building and correspondence and activity so that we are, we have an Afrocentric future remains going. Um, Black House, if you ever in the Rochester area, check them out. Monroe Ave, all the art and cultural items you can stand. Go support them. Go support my girl Jazz. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. Bats Kicks out of the NOLA. Shout out to Kivo. Revolutionary foot comfort. Take away the paintings off the joints, off the knees. Get them when you can. They got some real dope flows and flavors. Check out Bats Footwear. You know what I mean? And then tonight we're here for this. Scary times in the art of the counter punch. You know what I mean? Do we know how to counter punch as a people? Or do we just know how to run around like Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling, not making sense of anything? I'm a little weary of us running around saying the sky's falling. See, I told you what Trump was going to do. I told you what Trump was going to do. Okay. I'd rather have the enemy I know than the enemy I don't know. All the mother foo-foo folks, that was the enemy I did not know. They'll promise me the world. They would have did the electric slide on Martin Luther King's birthday and then turn around and stab you in the back. At least we know what Trump gonna do. The idea is, do you know what you gonna do? Scary times in the art of the counterpunch. We here tonight for that. Y'all tune in. Y'all tap in. Y'all give us y'all comments on what we talking about. We got some real dope stuff coming up. But first, let's jump into our ancestors and elders blueprint right here on the Real HD Show. Here we go. Yeah, man. You can't stop the rain. That's right. You can't stop the rain of the ancestors. It's here for you. So you might as well enjoy it, get into it, do it with the Real HD Show. Here we go. So tonight's clip comes from Neely Fuller on the Hip Hop Cartoons channel. Neely Fuller. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you all can appreciate this, get into this, and let's try to see what we can learn from it. Okay? So we here right here on the Real HD Show. Let's begin to go. Neely Fuller. Here we go.
On the list of what's supposed to be. Haiti, the people who are called Haitians, predominantly are people who are classified as non-white, but they're not supposed to ever have anything under the system of white supremacy except punishment for
Yeah.
being arrogant enough under Toussaint to think that you, with your military skills, can take us over or tell us what to do. So many a historian has said that the reason Haiti is in the shape that it's in now, and sort of like the head wagging people of the world, you might say,
Hmm.
everybody kind of looks on them with great pity. It's because the white supremacists made that decision.
Hmm.
We're going to make examples of you. Don't you ever think that you can have military force against me, us white supremacists of the world. And we're going to make a perennial example of you up until the point we decide that we're not going to make that example. But you're going to be in poverty. You're going to be pitiful. You're going to be beggars of the first order. You're going to be dislocated trying to find a place to go because you can't stand being where you are, because I'm going to see to it that where you are will never be anything until I decide
Mm. Boy,
that you're going to be something.
that's like putting a
And
vice
that,
grip on somebody.
yes, and see, and that's, they're letting the dark people of the entire world know, hey, you want to get in my face, look at Haiti. That's what's going to happen to
Look,
you.
it's going to happen.
Now
All
get
right.
out of my face. You can be comfortable in a prison, which is what the white supremacists have made the world for people of color a prison. They've made the entire planet a prison that they run. And what happens in a prison? You assign people their bunks, where they eat, where they're going to get their food, where they can be at any given time. You just can't be any place. You got to get, if you have color in your skin, you got to get permission from those white people. Not all white people, I'm saying,
Hmm.
but those white people who believe in white supremacy, they're the ones who are running things. So they tell a person, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, anybody who has color in his or her skin, they say where you can be on this planet. They say, you can't come here. You can't go there. You better not cross that river. You didn't get my permission. Boy, girl, gal, you didn't get my permission. Get my permission before you cross that river, before you cross that ocean, before you come in my ocean, or before you violate my airspace. You better not borrow a plane or nothing like that and fly in my airspace without my permission. I tell you people of color where you can go. If you want to trade with somebody, even one of your cousins, I mean, on a distant island somewhere, you better get my permission before you take off, because I will stop you on the high seas. You're on my ocean. This is my ocean. I don't care where the ocean is. It's mine. You get my permission.
All right. We are back, Real HD Show. That was Dr. Neely Fuller, just turned to an ancestor on the uprising of the Maroon culture, that Ogun spirit that Haiti had to free itself, rid itself of their colonial masters, and you know, sort of prevailing attitudes about people. He's always snarky. He's always a dissenter. You have to look at the information that he presents and kind of compartmentalize it, take the sarcasm out of it, and understand that yes, rebelling and standing up for your own is the only way to go. Um, Regardless of what your social condition is, everybody deserves freedom, justice, and equality for themselves, for their families, and for their societies. Um, Go check him out on Hip Hop Cartoons. It's a great way to, follow the movements of our ancestors, the great orators that we've had, the great griots of the past, and to involve your children, maybe even your elders, in a way where they can digest it in a cartoon form that's very entertaining, very informative, And they just don't have scholars. They have artists, music artists, poets, anybody speaking up for the freedom and justice and equality of our people. Go check them out on Hip Hop Cartoons, the Nearly Fuller site. Give them a subscribe, give them a like. I think after a while you will probably be really interested in that particular format. It's on YouTube. Go check them out. Hip Hop Cartoons. All right, man. So uh, that was an elders and ancestors blueprint that we just got finished looking at, and we're off and we are on our way to our AAT report. Check it out. That's right. Happy, wealthier, and wiser for a brand new you, because health is wealth and we all need cell power. A lot of us were robbed of it, if not robbed of life, robbed of our cell power. A lot of us are faced with, myocardial infractions. A lot of us are faced with maladies. 3,500, according to the Pfizer report, um, of the pandemic event that happened about 2 to 3 years ago, and counting. So everything under the air, sea, and land that can make us healthy, we're going to talk about it. We're going to cover. So tonight's AAT report, health report, comes from KT the Arch Degree. We're going to listen to this a little bit. It's about honey for the brain, honey that supports and nourishes the brain. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to put it on real quick and see what we can get out of. And whatever you like, whatever sparks your interest, you guys talk to us. You guys let us know. Real HD Show.
We got honey all in all the stores, but that's not the honey I'm talking about. I'm talking about Nestle Nectar, the stingless bee honey that Dr. Sabi spoke of. And this honey you can put in your eyes, and it contains, it's 2-ounce bottle. You got 250,000 flowers. Pollen is inside of there. And it's saturated with something called phenols. Phen means light. This is a 6-sided hexagon that absorbs light. This ain't nothing but pure, unadulterated sunlight that tastes like heaven. And when you put it in your eyes, it's the first time that you're actually feeding your brain. Because we read and we feed our brain. We watch things and we feed our brain. But do we actually give our eyeballs food, which is our brain? Now, we got honey all in all the...
Wow, he brings up a powerful point. Always, KT the Arch Degree brings up a powerful, powerful point. We feed our brain with education, right? We try to absorb as much information as possible, and we try to get as enlightened as possible from various sources. I hope you're getting enlightened from various sources, and it's not just typical sources. We feed our brain with the images we look at, movies, television, phones, right? Computers. So why don't we feed our brain through our eyes with nourishment? So that right there would indict the medical and nutritional institutions of this land that we live on, because I'm sure if we go back somewhere in the pantheon of the motherland and the brotherland, which is where we are right now, and I'm talking about the ancient natives, I'm sure a lot of them had many, many things that they did for themselves that would manage maladies, manage poor health, manage eye health, improve eye health. And then there was things that they stayed away from. And then there was things that they used in a very manageable, very palatable way where you didn't overconsume. So I thought that point by KT the Arch Degree was really, really dope. We feed our brain with information through our eyes. We feed our brain with sights and sounds through our eyes. The Roy G. Biv, the spectrum. and our brain is pretty resilient. Our eyes are pretty resilient as to the abuse that it takes, right? Through the eyes, right? Through the eye canal into the retina and into the cerebral cortex, right? And then why aren't we feeding and nourishing our brain directly through the eyes? So he believes that honey, and I have to vet that honey, but I trust his information. I vetted other pieces of information that he's given, and I believe that it's coming from a place of sincerity and integrity, because he's a holistic brother, and his whole approach is to heal through nature. Um, so you want to check him out. Check out KT, the Arch Degree, and what he's got to say about the Dr. Sabi brand, or the Dr. Sabi recommended honey that was in that last clip. Please make sure you check that out. Let me see if I can get a pic of that real quick. And where's it at? All right. What I'll do is on Wednesday, I'll clip a pic of that. I'll put it back up on the screen so everybody can see that particular honey and what it does for you. You know what I mean? That was really, really dope. Hold on. Let me see if I could. Let me see if I could do that. Let me see if I could do that right now while we're waiting. All right, give me a second, family. I'm getting a picture of it now, family. Let me get that going, and then I'll pop that up for everybody to see, so everybody can indulge, and go check that out and make that a part of what you do. Um, I'm gonna seek this out myself. I'm gonna check in downstate first, New York City, and see where if they have it, in their coffers and their shelves, and all of the different, health food stores and homeopathic stores, apothecaries, and all of that. I'm gonna check that out first, and then I'll see if it's online. Because we want to support our, natural businesses that do and promote the things of love for us first, love and health first. So here it is. Yeah, man. Um, so here we go. This is supposed to be Nasut nectar. So that's supposed to have phenols in it, right? And bear with me one second while we build on phenols, right? Because phenols means light nourishment, right? And when you have phenols, you have, and I teach chemistry, so I understand the science of what he's talking about. He's talking about the amount of photosynthesis energy that is transferred from flowers to animals to people, or however you ingest your food. Usually, the trail of solar energy, once it goes through its various phases of who ingests it, by the time you get to it, is usually diminished up to 20%, which is why you have to eat so much, right? But then if you're eating more of the plant based diet, then you're going to get a higher concentration of chlorophyll and photosynthesis energy within the things that you eat. And of course, this honey comes directly from the pollen and resin of a flower that Dr. Sabi recommended to feed the brain. Now, I don't know about feeding the brain through the eyes. I'm not I'm not telling anyone to do that. Make sure you look it up, make sure you vet it, and then perhaps try it. I would ingest it first. I would put it in a mixed smoothie, or natural based smoothie, or something to that effect. See how your body reacts to it. Um, but you are going to get more of that chlorophyll, more of that direct photosynthesis energy from the sun to make you better if you get it directly from the fruit, from the flower, and not from the animal or tertiary or fourth case food sources. So that was real dope. I appreciate KT the Arts Degree for dropping that particular item to us. He was always got. Check out his stuff on YouTube too. Go give him a subscribe, a like. He's always banging you in the head with great information, great natural remedies, great natural consciousness to be absorbed. And then lastly, we're going to get into our lit city report. Here we go. Too much of that, even though it's really dope. I love it, but they like to fool around with my copyrights on this channel. So we're going to give you a taste, and then you're going to have to, listen to it on your own accord. Ha ha. Okay. I thought that was a message from someone. Okay. So y'all could jump in, and then we'll begin to master Criminal Minded. Check that out. Really dope song. Can't help remembering the lyrics. All right, here we go. So we are in the middle of a lit city report, the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round. Because, we deal with a lot of crazy, abrupt things on this channel. And we need levity. We need things that will make us feel good, to nourish our spirit, nourish the essence of our being. And we try to get into that right here on the Lit City Report. You know what I mean? Melanated greatness is what we call it. So we here tonight, and we have got to say and honor a couple of sisters that have, went to the ancestral plane. A couple of sisters have gone to the ancestral plane. One being Roberta Flack, and the other one being Angie Stone. Now, both of these people are really favorites of mine, and their music has been the soundtrack of my life in many, many ways. If you could remember a Roberta Flack or an Angie Stone song that affected you, please jump on the show. Let us know. Back Together with Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway was a really dope one to me. That's a roller skating jam. Anybody know Skate Key? And they put that Back Together back on, and you went to look for your date, your little honey, your girlfriend, and y'all spin, y'all get the skating backwards, y'all get the rocking. Man, Back Together as a whole wave. You know what I mean? And many, many other great, great, great songs. Killing Me Softly, that's been interpreted in so many beautiful ways by so many great people. Lauryn Hill and the Fugees did a great tribute to that song. It's been done 1,000 times. That's how dynamic and one of a kind that song is. Just strikes the 3-6-9 sequence within the body. It just puts you in a trance, and it just makes you so reflective. Roberta Flack gave us that. I'm gonna grab something real quick, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Roberta Flack's life and times. I'm gonna hope I can grab it quick from my email, because my wife did a tribute to her on her show too. Make sure you guys are checking out the Overcoming book discussion. Make sure you guys go on all major platforms, check that out, especially YouTube, Sage Dragon page, and you guys can check out the Roberta Flack tribute that wifey did. But right now, what I'm trying to do is open up a page so I could tell you a little bit about Sister Roberta Flack. Okay, here we go. We got, hey, I just can't show it, but you guys are just gonna have to listen. Roberta Flack, born 1937. Man, she looked good. Died 2025, 88 regal years. Overcame discrimination, racism, and classism. As a child, played the piano and the organ. Earned a full music scholarship to Howard University. I do remember that. PBS has a really dope documentary that they did about Roberta Flack. Really, really fire. Later began to teach music before launching her music career. So all of those that think they can't give back because they want to be this budding musician, Well, if you tap in, the universe will send you those that karma, that great karma, because you gave back and you will be rewarded. So later she went back to teach music before launching her career. Described by Jesse Jackson as a socially relevant and politically unafraid. That's right. Roberta Flack, if you go back to some of my shows, Roberta Flack has several protest songs, several black empowerment songs, several cultural songs that you didn't even know was in that vein. Go back and check out some of her really dope stuff. She founded Roberta Flack School of Music, the High Leadership Charter School in the Bronx. Yay to the boogie down. Hope y'all are taking advantage of all that beautiful, beautiful leadership. Providing an innovative and inspiring music education program to underprivileged students free of charge. Now that's giving back. That's giving back. That's Roberta Flack. Let's look up some of Roberta Flack's greatest hits. And then you guys can see um, if you guys can vibe with what I'm talking about. And if these songs jog your memory, or if these songs make you, you know, really um, reminisce. Set the night to music. Set the night to music. We could bet what? Really dope, right? So the closer I get to you, her and Donny Hathaway, man, when I tell you her and Donny Hathaway, man, when I tell you that they have when they were simpatico, when they were doing their music, they were absolutely in the key of life together. And of course, Killing Me Softly. Oh man, You Are My Heaven. You are my love. You are my heaven. What? Her and Donnie was doing it, man. Compared to what? That's one of her revolutionary protest songs. You Got a Friend. Wow. Mr. Magic. Wow. So many. Let It Be. Whoa. So many really dope songs. Killing Me Softly. Just Like a Woman. We Can Work It Out. Man. No Tears in the End. Wow. Bridge Over Troubled Water. Her rendition of that. Making Love. That's the time. Feel like making love to you. What? Crazy, man. Dope songs. Feed your children, nourish your children with those Roberta Flack songs. Tonight, I celebrate my love with Peebo Bryson. Wow. And so it goes. So many really dope Roberta Flack songs. We want to we want to spread love. We want to break bread with our energy, with our reverence for this great pioneering sister that put it down for us, that made the key of 369 resonate in a healthy way for us. Sister Roberta Flack, you will always be remembered. Carry on to the ancestral realm. We gonna make sure her memory lives on. So now we got Angie Stone. Beautiful sister. This one is close to me because as a budding hip hop artist, my wife and I had a group at one point and we debuted our song for Roberta Flack. I mean, sorry, not Roberta Flack, but Angie Stone. And Angie Stone liked our stuff. We had about maybe 3 songs that we were trying to get out there. She gave us a lot of love. She gave us a lot of positive vibes. She really wanted to work with us. Really dope energy. You know, she was, in partnership and in soul ties with the music dynamite D'Angelo, and she was gonna put us on and have us do great things, legendary things. Put us on with Wyclef, put us on with this one and that one. We was up in Power Play Studios doing it big with Angie. Said she loved our production, said she loved the vibe of what we were trying to do. And of course, her iconic song, in my opinion, Black Brother. Mm, I'm so proud of you. Really dope song. Go check her out. Let's look up some of Angie Stone's greatest contributions to the musical spectrum. Too bad that she had that accident, gone too early. Um, she helped some musical legends out with their sojourn. Of course, she had the song "Brother." Of course, she helped D'Angelo write a lot of his masterpiece, his very first album, Brown Sugar. Might have helped with the second. I believe they had a child together. I'm not entirely sure. Um, she was really so dope, great spirit. She was a musician's musician because she wasn't just a studio person. She was the type of artist that traveled. She went to the artscapes. She went to the AFRAMs. She went to all the festivals up and down the East Coast, cross country, on the West Coast, cross the seas. Made. She was even on the R&B Divas with Faith Evans. I believe she was on that show as well. Was featured in many movies. Real dope spirit. I love that song that she did with Snoop. She did a really great song with Snoop Dogg. The video was featuring um the theme of the video, if I can remember, was her. She was having like a rent party, and Snoop was, a guest that was trying to, help her gather a lot of people for her rent party, and it was on some real soulful hip hop, R&B mixed together. Snoop on the featured on the on the bridge of the song is crazy. They did a real good job with that. Um, so Sister Angie Stone, man, really dope. Um, give her a band, and you had a great show, whether it was in Central Park, whether it was in a club. Angie Stone was just a musician's musician. Going too soon. I know you had another 20 years in you, sis. Um, Grammy nominated R&B singer Angie Stone, known for the hit song "Wish I Didn't Miss You," and as a member of Sequence, tragically died in a car crash March 1st. She was only 63 years young. The van she was riding on uh, you know, flipped over, and then an oncoming truck did the rest. I don't want to make too much of the accident. What I want to make of is her and her incredible work, her incredible spirit. And I'm proud to have known her, and, for her to had sampled my music and enjoyed it. So shout out to Sister Roberta Flack. Shout out to Sister Angie Stone. You guys will be missed, but not forgotten. Y'all too dope to be forgotten. Yeah, man. So we on the Real HD show. That was one of our parts of our Lit City report. The second part is this one right here. That is the second part of our Lit City report. They had the annual Pata Awards on TV last night. That's right, I said it. The annual Pata Awards. Why do I say the annual Pata Awards? Because the Oscar statue is a personation of Sokar, right? And Sokar is a Middle Ages interpretation of Ptah, the melanated god of Kemet, Kush, Punt, all of the native areas, the native more areas within the planet or the continent of Africa over the Ethiopian Sea. So it's interesting that they continue to use this symbol and plagiarize this symbol. There's an article about this, and this comes out of, what is this? This is the Hollywood Reporter. You guys can check this out, and it talks about the Oscars statuette modeled and named after Ptah, right? So I'm gonna share my screen really quick. Take this off. Share my screen real quick, and we're gonna talk about why and how this is related to, the brother Ptah and his great thing. So the iconic prize, one of the best awards in the content world, is dedicated to a brother. It's fashioned after the greatness of a scribe, the you know, the deity of information, Ptah, right? The iconic prize, designed almost a century ago by MGM director Cedric Gibbons, bears a striking resemblance to the ancient depictions of Ptah, the Kemetan god. So there's always, there's always a a debate. There's always a debate on whether the information is accurate about how our ancestors have affected the world. Always a debate. Oh, are you sure? Are you really being honest? Did you do your first and secondary sources on that? They said it themselves. Ptah is the melanated representation for artists and craftsmen. So every time one of those people get this award, they can thank and they know that their award was in the likeness of Ptah, right? So 96 award show of the Oscars um, featured this. It says the Academy has long asserted that these shiny gold figures, which are the world's most iconic prizes, even more recognizable than a Nobel or the Pulitzer, depict a knight standing erect, holding a sword over his right hand, which pierces beneath him, and a reel of film with 5 spokes representing the original branches of organization, producers, actors, directors, and technicians. So this is what they say is actually going on in the image of the Oscar, right? Um, but like Transformers, is more than meets the eye, because for nearly a century, those explanations have been accepted and repeated. But a few weeks ago, after being sent by my brother, who was on honeymoon in Egypt, photos of ancient sculptures that look a lot like Oscar, vented down a deep rabbit hole from reading the minutes of the early Academy writings to consulting with Kemetan scholars, and have come up to believe that the true story of the statue's design and name is very, very different. Um, I'm gonna keep going so I can get the information here. So it says, in addition to Mayer, another of the organization's 36 founders, back in the 1920s, 30s, MGM supervising art director Cedric Gibbons, Irish American who had worked in the studio as a hand in 1924, will remain there till 1956. 24 to 56. So that's a great 40-year career, right? As former Academy Executive Director Bruce notes in his excellent Academy and the award, it was Gibby who was tasked just weeks after the establishment of the Academy with creating the seal or emblem or insignia for it. He ultimately arrived at the sketch of what is essentially the Oscar as we know it today, only 2-dimensional. When he was subsequently asked to design the prize, the Academy would each year for achievements in film, he came back with a sketch of a 3-dimensional version that was approved by the board of directors. That's very important. That's very important, right? What has never been acknowledged by the Academy or seemingly even noticed by anyone other than a few Egypt bloggers is that the Gibbon statuette, from which the current model has deviated very little, looks eerily like the statuette of Kemet's Ptah, the Kemetan god of arts, crafts, and trade. Now, that's way too much. That's way too close to home for there not to be something there, right? So we're moving on. Indeed, for literally 1,000 years, Ptah's has been depicted in gold. So we got gold to gold, slender figure, standing erect, looking mummified. Both that's what they both have in common. Before its arms and face, holding in front of him right hand over left a staff. Okay? So now we're going to look back at the picture, right? And we're going to see if the right hand is over the left in the picture as well. Sure enough is. There we go. Okay, so there was a lot of ways that they could have made this, but they made a statue with the right over the left hand. And the statue, the spear, the sword, whatever they would say. Gibbons was and remained closely associated with the Art Deco movement. Let me keep getting down to it because there's a really good. Okay, here we go. It says that there was a craze, a chemic craze, right? In fact, the label was emerged in the 60s, back to the 20s and the 30s when Gibbons was helped to popularize it. Many referred to it as Nile style. Now, we also know that there were many designers, many artisans that loved African styles, went over to the motherland, went over to South America and the natives, and straight copied styles, patterns, art forms, brought it back over here, brought it back to Europe, and made millions off of it. And it's looking like this is not too different. The craze traces back to 1922 when the British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered in the Valley of the Kings the tomb of Tutankhamun, King Tut, who reigned till 1332 BC when he was 9, through his death when he was 19. Unlike the tombs of other pharaohs, which had been raided by grave robbers, Tut's was found intact and filled with 5,000 artifacts. So it said King Tut's tomb and the context, including the statue of Ptah, received worldwide attention and sparked a surge in ancient Egyptian-inspired art and jewelry. I don't know if you guys remember, but the early Batman episodes, when Batman would feature like Mr. Freeze, which was Vincent Price, and they were having like a party, and people would come dressed in costumes and cosplaying, and a lot of them were dressed in Egyptian or Kemetan garb. It was popular to throw that on, flaunt it around. Why? Because Elizabeth Taylor had did the rendition of Cleopatra, which is a hearken to the Kemetan empires of ancient times. So that there was a craze, just like there was a martial arts craze in the 70s and the 80s. There was a Kemetan craze in the 60s, 30s, and the 20s. So I'm going to get to the bottom part of this. Gibbons, upon tasked by the Academy with creating a statue to celebrate the artistic achievement, decided to design it in that style. Very probably thought about the artifacts of the sort, which brings back Ptah. For centuries, Kemetans, particularly in the ancient capital of Memphis, Ptah was the creator god of artists, writers, artists, and craftsmen. For a designer looking to make a statuette celebrating arts and craftsmen, there would be no more of an appropriate model. And we all know Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, they all borrowed from Kemet, and people believe that this is their doing. Over the centuries, depiction of Ptah were merged with the depictions of two other ancient deities, Osiris, so-called god of the afterlife, resulting in a funerary god known as Ptah Sukar Osiris, symbolizing the life, death, and rebirth. Sukar alone, awfully similar to Oscar, right? As does the merger of names with Osiris and Sukar. Again, this is purely speculation, but Gibbons or anyone else who realized the resemblance between Ptah and the Academy statue might therefore have arrived at such a nickname. Very easy. Mix up some letters, see what it sounds like. It sounds like Oscar. That would suffice. Such a path is no less plausible to me than the ones named by Henry Davis or Skolsky, right? Gibbons granted Trying to get to the end of it. Let's see. It says, quote, I never won an Oscar I deserved or deserved an Oscar I won, but today you will visit the committing cities of Memphis, Luxor, or the museums around the world that showcase committing art, and you keep your eyes open and you will see the numerous sculptures and statues that look a lot like the Oscar statue. This is another one that looks a lot like the Oscar statue. Somebody talk melanin to me, right? Here's another one that looks like the Oscar statue, right? Yeah, man. So we back. Real HD show. Just wanted to bust y'all down with that. That's really dope that they jocking our style. They jocking our flow. They jocking what we do. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to come up with their own ish. Got to do our ish to make it rich. You know what I'm saying? Just like when, they needed that purple dye from the regal flower of Phoenicia and ordered it for under almost about 500 years to dye their kingly, princely, and queenly and princessly robes because the purple dye was the only one that never faded. And they got that from Phoenicia, Africa. Featured that purple flower in Black Panther. So y'all talk melanin to me. Y'all talk, this very blatant appropriation to me. And y'all let me know what y'all think. And y'all could tap in and put it in a comment if y'all could tell me other things that have been appropriated, like the name Europe from the Phoenician princess Europa, which is another motherland special. Y'all go look her up. Dope story. So we rocking. Hope y'all rocking with us. Hoping y'all rocking with that. We're going to keep it moving. And we are going to get into what we came here tonight for, which is this. Scary times in the art of the counterpunch. Why? Because I believe we need to counterpunch. I don't think we need to run around like Chicken Little. The sky is falling, losing our mind over what one more white president has tried to turn into policy, what one more white president has tried to enforce, what one more white president has tried to put upon the people in an unfair way, unjust way. We should be used to this. We should not be all losing our goddamn mind over what one dude is doing. But we got methodologies to this tonight, man. We got methodologies to this tonight. But I want to show you a clip, right? I'm going to share my screen, show you a clip, and we're going to get into it, man. Shout out to Indisputable with Dr. Rashard Ritchie. He did a video featuring this, and I want to show it right now real quick, and hopefully it can enlighten. This is not to have anybody in a tizzy or to make you scream like your hair's on fire, but to empower and to make your life a little better, because we can counterpunch this thing. This thing is not unsurmountable. It's not insurmountable. Our ancestors achieved more with less. So let's check this out real quick. Fair use. Dr. Rashard Ritchie, Indisputable, Young Turks organization, talking about Trump and what he intends to do with the Board of Ed and DEI programming. Check it out.
For white people who have suffered under DEI, diversity, equity. Told you. So Donald Trump says he believes in reparations for white people who have suffered under DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here it is.
I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all.
Here's how Joy Reid and Don Lemon reacted to Trump's proclamation.
Reparations, but for white people. This is America.
So in other words, reparations for white people.
All right. Y'all heard it. Well, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast, right? Because there are ways to challenge this. There's ways to challenge this on many fronts, right? And the reason why I labeled my show be a counterpuncher is because he tipped his hand. He showed what he's willing to do and is going to do. And our response, if we feel that this is a savage inequality, is the counterpunch. That means gather the information. That means create a strategy and execute. You know what I mean? Gather the information, create a strategy, and execute. Hey, peace, brother Aaron. What's going on with you, bro?
Hey, what's happening, man? Just checking out the show.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. We talking about the Orange Man, and he's up to his antics again. Did you happen to catch that clip that we just showed of him on the Indisputable with Rashad Ritchie talking about he's going to take the DEI set-asides that are, budget and allocated in line items and fine educational institutions the amount of that particular payout, and then give restitution to a particular set of people who were harmed by DEI programming.
Yeah, nah, I didn't catch any of that. I actually didn't even. It's funny, bro. I didn't know I was coming live on the show. Thought I was in the audience or something. But is what it is.
Hey, I gotta bring you up, man. Nobody's seen that. Nobody's seen that chiseled jawline, man. They gotta catch it, man. They gotta, they gotta behold it, man.
Yeah.
I got my bro on the show finally ready to rock out with me. So we're gonna do it like we do it on the Real HD show, the higher discussion. So let's have one, right? So Don Lemon and Joy Reid calls this reparations for white folks. Are you in that camp?
I mean, it sounds that way from the description that you gave, man.
Okay. So if that's the case, and we're talking restitution, right? There was a suit by Byron Allen. Oh, yeah. Godspeed is on too. Let's go. We got a full house. Peace to the God. What's going on with you, bro?
Peace, fams. How y'all doing?
Oh, we doing well, man. We doing well. We talking about the Orange Man and his exploits. He's talking about giving restitution to, some advantaged communities. I guess that's giving a compliment to what Fred Sanford would call them. Fred Sanford will call them a whole lot of other things.
Oh yeah.
But I'll let y'all get into the Fred Sanford exploits. But Trump wants to give restitution to the macro community that is quote unquote harmed by DEI programming. And I'm saying that there's no reason to run around like Chicken Little, the sky's falling, or like your hair's on fire, because there are legal remedies to combat what's going on. And there's remedies that we as a people and as a culture have purported over the decades that we can use to combat this as well. This is not ironclad. It's not met in stone. And I wanted to get you brothers' first take on what the Orange Man is talking about and our reaction to it as a people.
I mean, it's par for the course, man. It is preposterous, but it's not surprising. You know,
Mm.
I find that I'm not surprised by anything at this point in time, and
Mm.
in some ways, what's happening now, I was expecting to happen in term one, and like the rhetoric that Trump has employed, uh, fairly consistently, I felt ultimately was what the U.S. really needed to see, just live and direct, full force in the face, no more, you know, pussyfooting around the fact that it's just, you know, white supremacy, um, this nationalism,
Mm.
sexism, all the isms kind of rolled into one, live and direct at your front door. So
Mm.
it's happening in the second administration as opposed to the first time around, in this brazen a manner. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm curious about what you're saying, like the legal remedy is for this particular um, initiative that he's talking about. You know, I'm curious about that, but
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not surprised by it, man.
Yes, sir. Any thoughts, Godspeed?
No, not really. I mean, brother Aaron said, a lot of what I've been thinking is like, hey, a lot of this is expected. You know what I mean? Now, honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I ever heard of DEI versus before he came into office this time around. I wasn't aware of the acronym. You know what I mean? But I did a little, I'm gonna do a little more research for my own edification. But at the same token, the little bit I've done, I see where it was inspired off of the civil rights movement. From the time period when they start, Martin Luther King and Stokely Carmichael, all these people, their time period, what it brought about the civil rights movement and stuff of that nature, But other than that, I mean, to me, it's like, oh, look, all right, cool. There's a lot of different set of folks that was benefiting off of DEI. You know what I mean? I get it. I hear people saying the women's movement was benefiting off of it. The LGBTQ was benefiting off of it in this latter era here now that we're in. You know what I mean? And I get that. So, you have groups of people that don't mind the disenfranchisement of these two particular groups. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is more like, hey, look, I hear all that. Everybody has their right to their stance on things, but I'm looking at it like, okay, these two groups get punched in on. Who are the other groups that they're trying to punch in on after that? You know what I mean? He gets up in the camera, you know what I'm saying, with his little orange juice in his glass, and he talks about the 14th Amendment and how the 14th Amendment was really for the descendants of slaves. And then every single Negro, Black, and colored African American is jumping on board like, oh my God, he actually bigged us up. I'm like, no, that's just to glaze you. You know what I'm saying? That's just to get you to say, oh yeah, yeah, he's for us. You know what I mean? And then all these other, boot licking, butt licking, no disrespect, these MAGA Republicans, these black MAGAs, all these black MAGAs. You know what I'm saying? Gonna be like, yeah, you see, I told you so. Told me what? You know what I'm saying? And then you got the other group of people talking about, oh yeah, I'm glad he's in office because guess what? At least all this stuff is being revealed. Are you telling me none of us knew? Yo, you gotta be kidding me. Are you telling me that none of us knew about this stuff
Go in,
that's being brought up
Godspeed.
now?
Go in, man. Go, go.
You gotta be kidding me. Like, come on, man. Don't make the Boondocks cartoon smarter than you. Like, are you serious? Little
Mm.
Huey and Little Riley knew about this stuff. As far as
Mm.
people's inner feelings about us, all these rebel racist rednecks down south, like, come on, man. This is just ridiculous. We did not need orange juice in office or orange juice in a glass to figure it out. You got to be kidding me. Come on, man. Got to be
I,
kidding me.
I don't think he was talking about Orange Juice Jones. I saw you walking in the rain. I think he was talking about the other cat. Just to clarify, all of y'all old enough to remember Orange Juice Jones. We was holding hands and I'll never be the. They were holding hands and I'll never be the same. But anyway, so let's get to it, man. So, like I said, no reason to run around like Chicken Little, skies falling, run around like your hair's on fire, because there are remedies to this, right?
Right.
And Byron Allen had a case against Comcast and I believe it was Clearwater Media, when he was buying all his entertainment companies, right? He had the Weather Channel, the Cat Channel, the Puppy Channel, the Comedy Channel. Byron Allen got like a crap ton of channels. But the problem was Clearwater, NBC Universal didn't want to do advertising business with him. So he's got this product that he knows everybody named mama watch the Weather Channel. Like that's just like default, right? Going on a trip, got to go to work, got to go to the store, whatever you got to do. You're trying to see what the weather is. You're going on the Weather Channel or some facsimile of, right? So Byron Allen has this lawsuit about the Clear Channel people not doing business with him. And he claimed racism. He said they said that it wasn't racism. He said that it was. And they told him, the Supreme Court took it all the way to Supreme Court. Big news about maybe 3-4 years ago. They told him that in order to satisfy this particular claim, according to his case, he had to make sure the but-for clause was satisfied. So I'm going to share my screen right quick, and we're going to look at the but-for clause according to a legal firm online. You can vet this yourself and come back to the Real HD Show and let me know what you think of it, right? So here it is. I hope you guys can see it. If you can't, please enlarge your screen. Turn it sideways if you're looking at a phone, what have you. So it says type of discrimination for race, sex, national origin, and employment. Title 7 proves that within the but-for clause saying that race you have to prove that race was a motivating factor, right? Then Section 1981, you also have to prove race in forms of contracting and other employment. You have the but-for factor out of Section 1981 of the law that says you have to satisfy that. Then in race and employment, when there's no timely filed EEOC charge, that's within the section of Title 7 as well, but-for clause. Disability, more but-for clause. I used to advocate for students with disabilities, so I'm very familiar with that. And then ageism and if you're discriminating due to age, you also have to prove the but-for clause. And they basically the Supreme Court basically deaded Byron Allen's claim to Clearwater or Clear Channel, whatever the name is, the NBC television group that he was trying to get the thing from, and deaded the case. But then subsequently, they settled out of court, and a couple of channels, they gave Byron Allen some sponsorship and gave him some ad revenue deals based on a couple of channels, Weather Channel and a couple of other channels that he thought was really, really important. But the reason why I brought up the but-for clause, Title 7, Section 1981, and all of the provisions that it executes is because if Trump wants to give retribution for people who feel that they were harmed due to DEI programming, DEI funding, right? They have to prove it within the claim and use the but-for clause. Now, how many people are going to be able to do that? Now, that's legal precedent all the way up to the Supreme Court now.
Yeah, I hear you. The thing is that with the heavy dog whistling from the very top, with him bringing this executive order or change or whatever the this initiative is, with his seating of judges in the courts as they have, I wouldn't be surprised if on the merits, people who actually in a legit, court environment would have to prove it, but for perhaps wouldn't be able to. I'm wondering, man, about, if they're not going to essentially grease the rails a bit to allow some of these claims to go through. You know what I mean?
What's interesting about what you're saying is that's a case, right, where it's like that, that kind of good old boy socialism,
Yeah.
And they very well could just, bow to the emperor, capitulate, take the knee, and just do his bidding, or they could rely on precedent. And if you read the articles on But For and Byron Allen case, the local courts were split. The appellate court was split from the local court, and then it had to go all the way to the Supreme Court in order to get a final decision and adjudication to the case. And a lot of even the Supreme Court judges themselves were split on the way that they decided that, when the final decision came out, they were very split as a unit. It wasn't overwhelming. It was like 4-3, or it was some really, really 50-50 type of decision with just them, narrowly topping it over with as many judges believing one side or another. But the point I'm making is that's one way that if, anybody's got any cojones and and if there any lawyers out there willing to hold their own nuts versus this regime right here, they could actually put this out and defend this ridiculous claim of restitution and make these people, whoever is claiming to be injured by DEI incentives, programming, etc., prove the but-for clause. Now, that was almost impossible to prove from the Byron Allen legal team. It's impossible because it's a social interaction. So how are you going to prove a social interaction? Oh, he smiled at 5 p.m. on December 9th. It's almost impossible. Unless you have like a video recording of an event that was blatantly racist, blatantly discriminatory, how in the world can you prove the but-for clause? It's very hard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
I was just going to ask, so who would be the target of these claims that are going to be coming from, under this new development? Like, is it going to be employers? Is it going to be
anybody that uses DEI programming or conflated civil rights programming, because they love to conflate DEI with civil rights, and they're not two of the same. They're not two in the same bush at all, but they conflate it, right? And so, they really can't do anything about the Act of 68 because that's grandfathered, and they can't do anything about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment because those things are grandfathered. Believe me, if they could, they would. But they can't do anything about those. Those things are grandfathered into the books, right? Can't do anything about them. But the set-asides, the programming, affirmative action, all the rest of it, you can socially scare people, scare businesses into believing the rhetoric, believing the caca of what he's willing to do. And to answer your question more directly, it would be institutions that benefit from civil rights set-aside programming, like HBCUs.
And then they directly wouldn't be responsible for making the claimant whole. It would be the government paying out of this fund that they're putting to the federal government would, if the suit is successful, the federal government would be paying
the restitution,
paying off these claims, the restitution.
Yes, it would be the federal government, which the federal government coming off a piece of dime like that, because it ain't gonna be cheap. You think they coming off that sort of a dime for millions of people that they feel has been wronged? You think they want to give that type of money away? I think it's cap. What y'all think? I think it's cap, and I think it's like, propaganda. It's hype. It's hype words. You know what I mean? Get the base riled up. Get the base excited about what I'm doing, and then I can put forth whatever legislation I want, and I'm putting pressure on Congress people to agree with what I'm doing because the people are behind me. What's your thoughts on that? Do y'all think he would pad the pockets of that many people? Because I could imagine that's state to state throughout all 52 provinces of the United States of America. That's a lot of folks to pay out.
I don't think it'll be widespread, but I think there will be like some noteworthy examples that Trump will be able to hold out as, as signaling, basically, just more signaling, kind of what you were alluding to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll serve its purposes of showing himself to be, a hero to those in his corner.
Yeah. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander, or at least it should be, because if they make us try to prove the but-for clause in our racial discrimination cases, they should have to do the exact same thing if they're claiming some sort of injury due to race and discrimination. No?
I agree. And I'm glad you brought this up because I've never heard of the but-for clause before.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to spin back on this and check that out again, and then do my little look up on it and make a note of it. That's interesting. It's definitely interesting for social conversations and stuff. Other than national conversations, it's good for social conversation because nobody's ever said that to me. Brought up the but-for clause in this conversation. As far as this topic goes.
Well,
Yeah.
you being of the Moorish Science Temple, you know that according to Black's Law Dictionary, every term, there's steel, there's steel manning, and then there's when you have
You talking about,
steel manning an argument, and then when you having a straw man argument, you know what I mean?
right.
And those are the two sides. One that's absolutely plausible, and the other one that's fake to ally to your own agenda, your own, whatever you're trying to put forth as your cause, your motivation, right? So you either create a straw man argument or you create a steel man argument, right? So
and I guess the but-for clause is like trying to be that scale where you define which one is the steel from the straw.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just never heard the term before. That's definitely well, now I understand it. Now you put it in those terms for sure. Yeah.
So legally, that's a remedy that folks who are facing this sort of thing can go through.
Okay.
And I think this is, like I said before, I think this is all fanning the flames and he's got to have a team that knows that there's holes in this thing. If a high school teacher like myself could find out the legal holes in this thing, you telling me that dudes who political scientists, who lawyers that are career steeped in this stuff can't see the legal holes in this? Come on, give me a break.
You're right. So there's a whole shock and awe campaign that's underway. That's been underway from inauguration day. That's established, and this fool is unhinged also, man. At the same time, and so there are some say that he's crazy like a fox, and he's also I think he's being manipulated, man. And there are smarter minds behind the dunce, the kind of buffoon type character that president presents himself as. There are minds behind him. This whole Project 2025 bit that are taking very intentional, systematic actions to pave the way to complete this reformation of government, of society. So there's I think it's more than just bravado, man. Although it certainly serves that purpose, propaganda and talking points that he can use to like rile up his base. But these cats are serious though, man.
Yeah, you see, that's my problem. You see, like a lot of people that I've come in contact with, a lot of original people, and a lot of them are pro him. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just sitting there like, well, you guys got to look at the much bigger picture. All right, you guys are seeing somebody who sometimes he's sitting on camera signing off documents. It's the most document signing I've ever seen on national TV. It's his 2 terms in office. And you even seen a guy who actually forgot to sign a document live on camera during his first term on TV. And, you guys think it's cool because it makes him look down to earth and, he's for the people. And I'm just sitting there like, you know what? You guys think light of whatever stuff he's kicking on the mic up there on stage or whatever. But the problem is this, is like you're saying, Brother Aaron, is that there are people out there that's going to take his goofy little phrases, his goofy little words, his like out of closet prejudice that's trying to become racism because even he's in a seat of power, and you're
Mhm.
gonna have the little, tumbleweed kicking, rebel racist redneck that's taking that to heart, and it's a battery in their back. I mean, I've been collecting a lot of news, and this is just YouTube, okay? Clips of incidents all over the country, especially down in the rebel racist redneck regions, you know what I mean? Where you got people that are very brazen, like a dude that rolled up on a sister at a gas pump and pulled out a hammer and stuck it right in her face. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
And
I
I'm
saw
like,
that. I saw that. Yeah,
yeah,
that
I'm
was crazy.
like, there's a number of incidents going on now, mind you. Brother Vic knows I could be a little tough on our people too. The so-called black on black crime, or no, forget crime, so-called
Mhm.
black on black violence, because some of it is just like really heinous for no reason at all. A lot of times, you know what I mean. And also to stretch it further, the straight-haired melanated brothers and sisters that are lost because they just don't know we all kin by some way, some genetic relationship because their hair's a little straighter or their nose a little straighter, and they do stuff to us too, and each other. So you just got this whole thing going on. But my main thing is like, hey, look. So I'm a guy who's coming from having criticism for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Free
I'm with
smoke
you.
for anyone. Ain't none of us
Yeah.
perfect out here. You know what I mean? But swinging it back to this thing, it's like people are not paying attention to the fact that the folks that are not on the in crowd, the ones who are not even haves or have mores, are the ones that's taking up the literally taking up the gun on this shit and
Yeah.
really going after people because they feel like they got this battery in their back because they got somebody on the screen that they
Yes.
could relate to in a seat of power.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you're gonna bump into these super intelligent people. Oh nah, Lucky, he's not really like that. He wasn't talking like that back in 1985. He wasn't, you got Eric B on YouTube. Oh yeah, that's not the same guy that used to sit down with me and give me business advice,
Right.
when I was hanging out with Rakim. I'm like, yo, come on. That none of that matters anymore. What matters
Yep.
is what's being said on the podium right now and how it's affecting people who are not
Yes.
on the in circle.
Brother Godspeed, man, you just said a mouthful, and so actually in a little while I'm gonna end up departing and leaving y'all brothers to it because I'm having a conversation right now
Wow.
with a brother that I have to get back at. We're kind of debating Trump, and this man is presenting himself as I'm a policy person, a policy legislation person. I don't worry about um, behavior and rhetoric. I don't want to hear any of that. Those are his words to me.
Oh wow.
What Trump is doing is riling up the people who consider themselves just regular folk, not in the in crowd, um, susceptible to the propaganda, are feeling themselves, feeling empowered, feeling absorbing all of the poison about all the fear mongering about
Yep.
the jobs being taken and such. And it's only a matter of time before things start popping off, man, under this administration, where people at street level
Yeah.
reach a tipping point, and sparks start to fly. And you know that's that's the danger of having a person at the helm, who is in this regard, he knows what he's doing, man. He's trying to foment violence, and that actually, I think, ultimately plays into his plans too, because once things really go left and get kinetic, then that ushers in a whole new set of circumstances, martial law and all this kind of thing.
All
Don't
this
get me
kind of
started
thing.
on all that, man. But yeah,
I hear you.
we're right, we're
I hear
right
you,
there.
bro. I see that you respect word sound power. I hear you. Some things we don't even want to really truly talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, real quick before you go, because you brought up a great point that he must have bigger minds behind what he's doing. It can't just be all him. So here's his new Secretary of Policy, Stephen Miller. Okay.
How
Now
disqualified is
Stephen
he?
Miller
Let's
is an
find out.
interesting cat because Stephen Miller used to be in his very first campaign, Stephen Miller was his speechwriter.
Oh gosh.
So you know he's the man with all the ideas, right?
Oh Lord.
Right? But right? Just like you know the Richard Spencers of the world, I'll give him one of these, right? All of that has to come from somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So there's these camps that I just found out, right? So I'm not gonna pretend like I knew this and this was just in my mental Rolodex and I just pulled it out and I'm nice. Nah, I'm not like that. I just found this out. So here's a camp that Stephen Miller went to, and it's called Boys State.
Mhm.
Boys State, right? And I'm gonna tell you what Boys State does, right? It's sponsored by the American Legion, right?
Mhm.
It's a week long or several weeks long summer camp that immerses high school youth, particularly men, young boys, teenage boys, in politics, military culture, and nativism and nationalism. The American Boys State and American Legion Girls Auxiliary State are summer leadership and citizenship programs for high school juniors, which focus on exploring on the mechanics of American government and politics. The programs are sponsored by the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary, respectively. All right, so that's that right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about an indoctrination camp.
Mm-hmm.
That
It
takes
sounds
these
all
kids-
benign right there, right? It sounds all benign in the description, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you right now why it's not benign and why I'm not just
Yeah.
kicking the Willy Bobo, kicking the nonsense, and kicking with my tinfoil kufi on, spreading a lot of propaganda and conspiracy. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lobbying group called BRT, right? And BRT is the Fortune 2000, Global 2000, and they get together in Washington and they lobby for their businesses to get funds, to get legislation going in their favor, yada yada yada. A lot of people make them responsible and hold them responsible for a lot of the immigration issues that are going on right now. So as much as the business class claims that they're conservative and doesn't want immigration, this BRT lobby group paid for it, essentially. So we all heard of Tyson Foods, right? And Tyson
Yes.
Foods gutted thousands of people only to hire 8,000 more people from other places.
Mm-hmm.
So that means
Mm.
for every person, 3 people are doing that one person's job, and you don't have to pay them,
Wow.
and you don't have to pay them benefits. And this is going
Wow.
on over 6 to 8 states. It's happening right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff.
Wow.
Sometimes that's all these areas like Indiana and Tennessee. That's all they got. They live for that. They depend on that little retirement nest egg, and they will gut it, right?
Mhm.
And that's all spectrum. That ain't just our folks. That's all spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, Boy State, according to GQ, right? The kids of the Boy State are a mirror of our political horror show, but they just might save us all. So, in other words, GQ did an entire expose on them after there's a documentary about Boy State too. And there's this one particular scene in Boy State where they're not only taught on how to run their own, they're taught on how to run their own country based on conservative and libertarian values. And I mean extreme ones, not just,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
How to
Mm.
So
run their own country.
how to run their own country
That's wild.
based on conservative, extreme conservative, and extreme libertarian. And then there's a graduation. So you saw it in this picture here, where they decorate the young people that do great things during their time at boys camp, but the boys state camp, right? And Donald Trump and many presidents have frequented this boys camp,
Mm-hmm.
and they got them in mad states all over the country. There's one in New York, there's one in Tennessee, there's one in Cali, it's all over the place,
Mm.
right? And these boys state camps get dangerous to the point where, so you know, when everybody was running around talking about toxic masculinity, right? And we were getting assigned to toxic masculinity.
Mm.
It wasn't a lot of the other folks, the macro folks. We were getting assigned that, right? Oh, you know, you're a rapper, you're talking about women, you're toxic.
Mm.
You're a big dude with muscles, you're toxic. You know, whatever that, however that could fit into the frame, they fitted it into the frame. But in this particular boys' state camp, right, they said it was the horror show of our political system. They have this thing where they purge. So this is where the movie got it from. They literally put the boys in a room with a strobe light and they just go at each other for 20 minutes. They beat each other's asses to death. And it's a strobe light. Black room. And of course, beforehand, they split them up in these, ideological leanings. So everybody has a dog in a fight. And then they throw in it and they go at each other. Now I'm like, who's signing their child up for that sort of summer camp? And there's melanated folks in that. There's melanated folks in that mix as well.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the picture.
Yeah, there's melanated folks in that picture as well. So this is where this is where Steve Miller, Trump's new Secretary of Policy, this is his background. He came from Boys State Camp. And now this is the dude making policy about a conflated DEI program and the damage that it's doing countrywide.
Good point. Good point.
Right? Also, so here's what I was talking about that BRT lobby, right? And the reason why it's interesting is because USAA, right? Everybody knows that commercial. They are a military group, auto association, and they're part of the BRT, right? Business Roundtable, okay? An association of CEOs at America's leading companies, okay? And their founder and CEO, Wayne, what is his name? I want to give you the right name. Hold on. What is this gentleman's name who's the CEO of the USAA? We'll leave it at that because it's way up in I don't want to lose the page scrolling. So Wayne, who is a member of the USAA board of directors, and he extends his expertise to a number of external organizations. He is a member of the Business Roundtable, an association of CEOs in America's leading companies. Okay, so we'll put a pin in that, right? And we will talk about now if the USAA is on the BRT and the BRTs is with the shits, right? They're a lobby group getting money from APAC. They're a lobby group getting money from all kinds of insidious sources worldwide to do this corporate dancing that they do and get these revenues in their coffers up in the black to an extreme level, right? And then now we have this boys' state camp endowed by these same people. And then we produce the Stephen Millers of the world to come back and produce policy like what Donald Trump is talking about. Restitution for white people, advantage white folks who were injured by, let's just say what they're trying to say. Let's just make it plain, civil rights set-asides. Let's not just sugarcoat DEI anymore. They're talking about civil rights set-asides that have really haven't leveled the playing field over the decades anyway.
Yeah. I think he wants the goal is, I think, to create a white ethno state. That's the end goal. I see this, so I think that on all fronts, that's what they're trying to move toward. They want to center that phenotype and a particular, culture. And man, it's just a full court press to do that at this point.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought that up and the counterpunch is one, I gave you one legal remedy. And if I could find one, I'm sure there's like a dozen more for what he's talking about. There's even a brother who wrote an article. He's a professor out of UMass. And he wrote an article about how Trump's DEI programming is illegal on so many fronts in jurisprudence and law. It's just illegal. And he misinterprets the law, not even a little bit. It's like he just misses the entire boat. Violating everything from civil rights to it's just a crap ton of things that's violating. But like you said, brother, because he has the momentum and may have some of the judges in pocket, this may go through, but not if we check it, right? Not if we check it. So I could remember, and I think the three of us are in a similar frame as far as how we grew up. I can remember when people had the anti-apartheid shirts on. I can remember A Different World having an episode about not investing in not divest from South Africa. I can remember School Days doing an entire movie about sellouts and how you should divest from apartheid regimes and how the HBCUs were all caught up in that and needed to divest. That's why Brother Lawrence Fishburne was screaming, "Wake up!"
Well, they're trying to make that illegal to even talk that talk now, man. About divesting, you know what I mean? Certainly.
Right. So I'll remind us how powerful we are, and if we put something in the ethos, it'll stand because we make it stand. So I want to just show y'all a couple of pictures about the power of our cultural impact. Like Rashad King Bolden said that Black folks are a cultural superpower, and I believe it. So these are just some of the movies, right, that were absolutely like groundbreaking and impactful around the globe that featured anti-apartheid efforts. Everybody remember Sarafina?
Yeah, I never watched it, but yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
But it was proliferated so long, and it's such a masterpiece of film. Cry Freedom, Denzel Washington.
No question.
You got Idris Elba playing Mandela. You had what's his name from Lethal Weapon? Danny Glover playing Mandela. So many. So the power of media and our cultural impact can make a difference in this. So if we decide like we want to hold our own nuts, and who can remember all of the hip hop songs and R&B songs that taught us how to divest from apartheid? And we followed
conscious hip hop now, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, man. That's why I titled my show the other day, "Hip Hop with a Message Rides Again." That's exactly why I titled it, because that's what Kendrick did in the Super Bowl. It was hip hop with a message. I ain't here to just entertain you. I'm not here to just entertain you. I got a story to tell. I got something to get off my chest. Whether you like it or not, you're going to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So I remember Stetsasonic, the hip hop band, one of the very first hip hop bands, right? Did a song about anti-apartheid song. KRS-One did another anti-apartheid song. So our artists, if they willing to hold their own nuts and not worried about, where they're gonna eat and how they, just tour more, man. You ain't gotta worry about folks,
not playing a song on radio.
Not playing songs on the radio or whatever, because radio has changed. It's all streaming now anyway, right? So hold your own nuts that way. These are some of the fashion has an impact on national interest. This is one of the shirts. This is one of the Divest Now shirts out of Chicago, right? Back in the day. And I'm trying to get this picture of Stetsasonic. Where's it at? Okay. I just want to show that. Them along with a crap ton of other people, R&B artists included, we're telling folks it's time to divest, and it worked. We put so much pressure on that regime to do better, be better, and I believe that really helped them in their, I could be wrong, but I believe that the social pressure, the social climate really helped the brothers and sisters in Johannesburg, South Africa, Cape Town, to really be, resilient. They felt like they had the diaspora on their side, right? So that's Stetsasonic, with their anti-apartheid song back in the day. Daddy-O, Prince Paul, Wise the Civilized. Wow, going back. Don't date me. Now that I know all their names. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
we have cultural power. That's a way we could check this. All is not lost. You know what I'm saying? That's the counterpunch. That's the counterpunch that I'm talking about. You know, don't be scared. Don't run around like Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Be a counterpuncher in scary times. Understand what's in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at what's going on. See it coming and
Yes.
plan for your countermeasure. Go ahead, brother. Any of y'all want to go? Because I'm gonna get ready to shut it down in a second.
Man, I just want to just co-sign what you're saying, and furthermore, counterpunching gets you out of being on the defensive. Like I said at the outset, there's this whole shock and awe, shell shock business going on. Just, you know, if you're returning force, then that gets you out of the perpetual backpedal mode, and that's
Yes, sir.
most definitely what we need, man. So feeling you
Yes,
100%
sir.
on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So you know, there's an old saying in the art of war. It says if you know thy enemy, then you never fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. You can't fear the outcome of 1,000 battles if you know your enemy. And he's one more president doing racist shit.
Yep. Every time you pull out a dollar out your pocket, that was another president doing racist shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't new. We've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, now if you worried about how you buttering your biscuits and that got you all crazy about what's going on, then okay, I get you. You worried about yourself. You worried about, you know, but we not new to this. Just
Right.
looking at pantheon of what we were able to do. Study Robert Williams, study the Deacons of Defense, study the NOI, study all of the greats. The study, you know, wow, so many
Yep.
that have done so many great things. You know what I mean? The Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali. Study all the greats
Yep.
and what they were able to do and how all of them were able to combat what's going on.
Yep.
And I
So
don't
you
fancy these people to be any smarter than the folks in the past. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I don't fancy these dudes to be any brainiac or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, and if I could find errors in their playbook, just being a high school history teacher, I know there's errors. If we really had a think tank of the best minds of us, man, we could take this thing down in a minute and then make it a cultural issue to reject this play. Make it a cultural issue. Put out the t-shirts, put out the music, put out the movies, put out the TV series. Have the baby with the apron on saying whatever it's saying. But we riding in the same way we on code. Like, make it fun to be on code. You feel me?
Yeah. And now when you got outlets like what you're developing, right, with the musical corporation you're developing, well, the entertainment corporation. Let me be right about it. And also, you know, you just look at some of these content creators on YouTube, even just those folks who we don't even know, but we see their stuff. You know, they're showing you how you could make things and put it on YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
You know, it's out there. You know, I've seen people making stuff about Planet Risk. They took Dr. York's thing and how could I say they actualized it in film, basically. I'm gonna send you a couple of. When I get a chance, I'll send you a
That
couple of.
goes.
Yeah.
Yep. That always happens too. You know, the plagiarism is on 10 right now in a lot of ways. But we get ready to get up out of here. Brother Aaron, you got the last word.
Hey man, I appreciate the spirit in which this show was offered and presented, and that I received from the message that I am hearing from you about our agency, our capability to be factors in our own fate if we decide to act like we know. And there's proven methods for how to combat a corrupted system, for the people to do it through very achievable means with the right mindset and the right commitment. And yeah, this is this is exciting, and I think the time is now, man, for us to really act like we know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the time is right now. So
For sure,
I'm
for sure.
appreciative that
And no
yeah,
doubt, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Teach the babies, man. Wu-Tang is for the babies. Teach the babies, man. Teach
one
the
teach one.
babies, man.
Absolutely.
Have the
Gotta take
babies
it.
understanding, doing the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for freedom, justice, and liberation that we actually need. Teach them what you're doing. Teach them what's happening in real time. So when they're our age, they know the playbook. They can see it coming. You know what I mean? And I'm glad I had elders to put me on game so I could see it coming. You know what I mean? And say, hey, this ain't nothing new. But for everybody on the Real HD show, man, I wish y'all a great night. I want y'all to like, share, and subscribe. I want y'all to comment, and I want you to turn on all y'all notifications. So every time we have a Real HD show, we can have a higher discussion and you can tap in with us. Make sure y'all check out the Overcoming book discussion group. That's a show that's on the Real HD network. Make sure you check out Broadcast Beats. Broadcast Beats is returning to the Real HD show network. Make sure you check out In the Bonus, our basketball show on the Real HD show network, and all of the great shows. And I'm just gonna wish y'all peace. Y'all walk with power, and I will see y'all on Wednesday. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace. Share the show.
Indeed.